Hi, everybody. Welcome back from our Thanksgiving break. I hope that everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. You spent time with family and friends. I'm sure the students enjoyed their 5 days off, and it was such a pleasure getting to meet and see a lot of you parents and family members. I've seen a lot of you, so it was nice to see you again. I met a lot of parents for the first time, which was really great. So, again, it was really nice just being able to talk with everybody during conferences, and that I hope you are ready for December. So December doesn't start till later this week, but we have pretty much 3 full weeks of school before a holiday break. So I did speak with the students today to just kind of remind them, no more half days, no more days off, no more short weeks. We have 3 full days that we really, really need to work hard, stay focused until holiday break. So as long as we work hard, the break will be here, another break will be here before we know it. So I wanted to review what we've been going over in math. So I know we've been talking about bar graphs, but today we just started to introduce pictographs. I personally think pictographs are a little bit easier to read and interpret than bar graphs, but they can get tricky. So I want to show you the different parts of the pictograph, what all of them mean, and then I can even show you something that we did in class today with the students. If you see me for math, your homework tonight is on page 82 of your workbook. The pictograph is already created. You just have to answer questions about the pictograph. So it'll be really important for you to pay attention to this so you know all the different parts so you're not missing anything. So it's kind of a little hard to see when I step to the side, but you should still be able to get the gist of everything and again know the different parts of the pictograph. So very similar, we're using data and we're trying to represent data. A pictograph is different than a bar graph because instead of the bars, we're using pictures, which is really cool because any picture can be used. So for a pictograph, we're still going to have a title, so you still need to know what your graph is about. In a pictograph here, there are 4 categories. So this title is number of times Keisha visited the park. So she visited them seasonally. So fall, winter, spring, and summer. Since there's only 4 categories, that's why there are 4 rows that go across for fall, winter, spring, and summer. Down at the bottom, the biggest part of a pictograph is the key, because yes, we have pictures, yes, we have categories, but you need to look at the key. A key will usually be on the bottom of your pictograph or it might be off to the side, so you do have to look for it. But in a pictograph, one picture or symbol can actually represent more than one item. So if you see one leaf here, that doesn't mean just one time she visited the park. Down here, our key means one leaf actually equals 2 visits. So that is the biggest part of the key when you're reading the pictograph. You might be thinking you're answering the questions properly, but maybe your key is off. Maybe you only counted this as 1, even though each leaf actually equals 2. So the key shows that 1 leaf stands for 2 visits to the park. Then over here, you can also see we have full leaves and we have a little tiny half of a leaf. So that means it's half of this number. So if this number is 2, then a half of leaf will be 1, because half of 2 is 1, okay? So, again, we have our categories, we have our title, we have our picture, which this one is a leaf. Each visit, or each leaf equals 2 visits. So what we did in class today was we just kind of figured out how many times Keisha visited the park during each season, during each category. So for here, for fall, I see 1, 2, 3 leaves. There's 2 different strategies I can use to figure out how many times she went in the fall. Since I know each leaf equals 2, I could just skip count by 2. 2, 4, 6. So she visited 6 times in the fall. Or, since I know my 2 multiplication tables, 3 times 2 also equals 6. So maybe I don't want to skip count. Maybe I'm going to use my multiplication skills. You can definitely do that. But in the fall, she visited the park 3 times. Now for the winter, I see 1 leaf and I see a half of a leaf. So I know 1 leaf equals 2, a half of a leaf equals 1. So 2 plus 1, she only visited 3 times in the winter time. Now in the spring, there's many more leaves I have to count. So again, I can skip count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, so that I know she visited the park 12 times in the spring, or I could multiply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 leaves. So I have 6 groups of 2. So 6 times 2 equals 12. I have the same answer. So both strategies work. Now let's go to the summer. I have even more leaves. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Now I see a little half leaf, and I know that means 1. So 14 plus 1 equals 15. So I could skip count, or again, I can use multiplication. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 full leaves, 7 groups of 2 equals 14. And I know that half leaf only equals 1, so 14 plus 1 equals my 15. So that is the way that you are able to read and then interpret the bar graph. So once you have what the total and the number of times is that you really figured out what each symbol means, then you can answer the questions to your bar graph, which is what is for homework tonight. You have to answer the questions. So you want to make sure that you are reading this properly so that you get the questions correct. So let's take a look. Let's erase this, and then I will take you over to the other example that we did today in class. So here we go. Now we have an empty pictograph, and we were trying to do this on our own. So here now, Keisha took a survey of her students at school about their favorite season. So it's either the spring, summer, winter, or fall. And here, 20 students said that fall was their favorite, 5 said winter, 30 said spring, and 45 said summer. So now we have the data, but we need to fill this out, okay? So here's my key. I see a full sun and I see a half of a sun. So I need to think, what can each sun equal? And I'm going to look at my numbers up here. I see a 20, I see a 5, I see a 30, and a 45. Now I could maybe have each sun equal 5 because I can see there's a 5 in there. However, there's a half of sun, and you can't have 5 equally. If I cut 5 in half, it's actually 2 and a half. So that's not going to work for this one. So I can't go by ones because that would just take too much. That would be way too many suns over here because I have to go all the way up to 45. So I'm thinking maybe instead of 5, each sun might equal 10. So that's what I'm thinking here because I know if each sun equals 10, then a half of sun is only going to equal 5. So I think that's what my key is going to equal. So I'm going to fill that part out here, and each sun is going to equal 10 students. So for the fall, it says 20 students said fall. So I know if I count by 10, I'm going to drag over my sun, 10, 20. I have 20 students. 5 said winter, and I already did the math over here, so I know all I have to do is drag over a half of a sun, because half of 10 equals 5. For the springtime, now there's 30, so again, I can count by 10s. I can 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 30. And now 30, it matches. 30 said spring. Now 45 said summer. So again, I'm just going to count by 10s. 10, 20, 30, 40. And like I said, I already figured out what the half is, so I don't have to really worry about where I'm going to get my 5 from, because I know I can get it from a half of a sun. So not only do you have to read and interpret your graph, you might be asked to actually finish the graph for me. So again, you might need to figure out what the key is. So there's lots of different things we can do with pictographs. That key is the key. Okay, that's probably one of the most important parts of pictographs. Again, they're easy, they're fun, but they can get confusing due to that key. So I hope that for homework tonight, that you can, first of all, look at that key and make sure, I'm pretty sure each plane equals 2. So you want to make sure you're not counting by 1s, you're counting by 2s. So what I would do if I was a 3rd grade student, I would figure out what everything equals, like we did here and like we did earlier today. So 2 suns equals 20, a half a sun equals 5, 3 suns equals 30, and 4 and a half suns equals 45. You can definitely do this on your pictograph. You can already fill out your information so that when you go to answer the questions, you know you already did the math correctly, okay? So it shouldn't be too hard. I know we just introduced it today, but I want you to get used to reading a pictograph and answering questions. And then later on, we're going to be filling in missing parts of pictographs, and also even creating our own. We're going to do our own survey. So I'm really, really excited to see what you're able to create. So if you have any questions, feel free. You can write them in your homework tonight. I don't think that you should, but if you do, you can do that. You can leave a comment below, or you can ask a question. And again, we'll review this again tomorrow. I was thinking about moving on, but we didn't get to something in our lesson today, and I want to make sure that we cover everything. So we're going to review pictographs again tomorrow, and then move on to our next lesson on Wednesday. So have a really great night, and I will see you all in the morning. Bye!